Grand Rising, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this wonderful day. We're going to start a little differently than we normally do. First of all, I'm Reverend Elizabeth Raleigh Hogue, and I'm the spiritual leader here. We still have a lot of people trickling in, so come on in. And Daniel, we're going to need you up here in just a moment. I would like to begin actually with a little bit about our guest speaker and musician this morning. So it is Daniel Nahmod, and you can see him walking up the center aisle here. Thank you. I've been practicing. Yeah. And so Daniel actually, I'll read his bio for you. Orange County, California-based singer, songwriter, producer, and humanitarian Daniel Nahmod has performed his profound, heart-opening original music for over 1 million people in 45 U.S. states and Canada since he began his music career in 1999. He has sold, and this bio is probably outdated, but at that time of the writing of this on his website, 150,000 CDs and downloads and 10,000 printed songbooks. Wow, it's a lot of music. A lot of souls inspired, and he has received thousands of standing ovations along the way. No pressure, yes, and you'll definitely see why. His songs are recorded and performed all over the world on a weekly basis, and he's actually had media appearances on Saturday Night Live, The Voice, American Idol, the Super Bowl, and the Today Show. Wow. We're so blessed to be graced by the presence of this amazing soul. Daniel's poetic and evocative message of peace, love, and compassion across all nations, cultures, and faiths has found overwhelming acceptance wherever he has performed. He was the keynote performer at the Parliament of World Religions back in 2018 with his friend and collaborator, Nemo. Now, many of you know of Nemo and Empty Hands Music. Beautiful, beautiful. So Daniel lives and works in Orange County, California with his wife, who is a jeweler, and her name is Melina Nahmod. And so he's got some information about her back on the merch table back there, and I think he's got some jewelry for sale today, which is exciting. Her Instagram handle is Melina Nahmod Jewelry. And let's not forget his beautiful son, Jude.
Yeah, he's a good-looking boy. Takes after his mom.
All right, friends, Daniel Nahmod.
Thank you. All right. He's 12, and the attitude is coming on. But he's still lovely. All right, good morning. I have a couple songs to sing for you at the top of the service. I'll sing this for you, and then I'll invite you to sing something with me. Sound like a plan? All right, good. Nice to be here. I'm accustomed to being. Sometimes I sing in a place where, like, just before I sing, is like Ave Maria, or or something like something spectacular, right? And I'm always getting up and like, well, I'm overshadowed already. This is a little painful. Or people will bring up their little kids and they'll sit in front of me, and I'm like, I wouldn't look at me if such adorable little people were in front of me. And I would say that this qualifies as overshadowing. Don't look at me. Look at the geese. Anyway, here we go. All right. So I'm going to tell you some stories. I'm going to sing you some songs. And I'm doing a concert this afternoon in which I'll sing a lot more songs. But in this morning, since some of you, maybe most of you, have no idea what I'm about to do, what I sound like, what I sing, what I'm here for. In the morning, in the service, my intention is, among other things, to give you some sense of this guy you heard sing and talk this morning, like what I'm really about, what I'm really here for. So this is a song among a handful that does that more than, I've written a couple thousand songs, but of all of them, there are a handful that are fundamental to me. So I'll start with this one. There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit or Jesus or Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, yeah. One power is what we are. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. Freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power. Oh, what we are is one. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Sing with me. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. I'm diving in the deepest kind of love, to the deepest kind of love, the sweetest kind of life, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving into the deepest kind of love, to the deepest kind of love, the sweetest kind of life, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Wow. All right. So, Daniel, don't be alarmed if people in the front row have moved to the back. They were blown away by the amazingness. And Brian's making some adjustments. So, all right, let's stand and turn to one another and offer the Namaste greeting. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste to our tech team. Thank you so much, Brian, Jesus, and Delon. And namaste to our Zoomers. Hello, hello. It's so good to have you all here with us today. Woo! It is a wonderful day. All right, and as you take your seat, please take a moment to silence your cell phones or whatever devices you have that make noise. And it is my joy to welcome you to the Awakening Ways Center for Spiritual Living. Well, I guess I should introduce myself first. I'm Reverend Elizabeth Raleigh-Hogue, and I'm the spiritual leader here. And it is my joy to welcome you to Awakening Ways Center for Spiritual Living, where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. This service has been designed especially for you. Welcome home. We've been waiting for you, especially the lady with the blingy hat that just walked in. I love it. We've been waiting for you. All right. So we have an affirmation for today, and I invite you to please repeat after me. I trust this day unfolds perfectly. I trust. Let's try that again. I trust. I trust. I trust. I trust, I trust, I trust. And so it is.
Oh, thanks. I was thinking of talking today about, well, okay, first of all, welcome and thank you for having me. And for the next little while, for better or worse, you might live to regret it, that you're inside my head for the next little while. And the inside of my head is a very free associating place. Absolutely drives my wife bonkers. She's the kind of person who, she's lived in the town we live in Orange County, Tustin. The way I describe it, she's lived there long enough. She doesn't just know where everything is. She knows what everything used to be. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that wasn't a grocery store. That was an empty field, kind of thing. Well, she knows equally well where everything in her house is. It's like it's this weird catalog. So she leaves the house once. I leave the house 5 or 6 times. You know, oh, forgot my keys. Oh, forgot my coffee. I forgot, whatever it is. and on and on and on, and it's madness. It drives her absolutely insane. So if you are that type of person, the Melina type of person, for whom free association is absolutely maddening, I apologize in advance. But I did want to share with you, just in my mind, I'm about to share with you three hopefully short stories that kind of share a bit about who I am and might strike a chord for you, might give you a thought or a feeling you didn't expect to have when you came in. So the first little story relates to that little piece of music, a little piano piece. I have a long-standing, actually lifelong policy of not walking past a piano without playing it. And it's gotten me in trouble sometimes, gotten me kicked out of a couple of malls. But I've never been kicked out of an airport, but close. I've played on some really, really special pianos, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to play on a piano. Grand pianos in concert halls I've snuck into, and a friend of mine plays with the San Francisco Symphony. And when I went to hear him in concert, I got backstage with him beforehand, and he walked me onto stage, and I sat at the Steinway Concert Grand and played just a few notes. Nothing that would get him kicked out of his job. Canterbury Cathedral in England. I went to school for 6 months in England, which the older I get, the more I realize how privileged that was. I felt lucky then, but even more so now, looking back, that my parents were generous enough to do that. So I went to school for 6 months in England. I studied for about 10 minutes, but I saw England and I saw some of Europe too. But Canterbury Cathedral, I remember playing the grand piano. I'm probably the first and only person to ever play Bruce Springsteen on the Canterbury Cathedral grand piano. As I think about it, I played Screen Door Slams, Mary's Dress Sways, the song Thunder Road, and I'm probably the only person who's ever done that before or since. And for all I know, that piano's 200 years old, but there I am. Anyway, all right, but all of the piano playing, and this is my free associating, but it comes back to this piece of music, and it comes back to a thought that I thought I'd share with you today. Is all of that piano playing comes back to a cheap upright piano that was in my parents' home growing up, where we took lessons, all three boys, I'm the middle boy, and we were all forced to take lessons until we graduated 8th grade. Then it was optional. My older brother and younger brother ran for the hills as fast as they could, got out of the piano playing business completely, but I stuck with it for an extra year or two into high school and took some lessons still with the classical stuff, Well, actually, my favorite was, that was my favorite. So we took lessons on that little piano, and when we'd visit my Bubby and Zadie, Bubbies are going to be a theme this morning a little bit, I suspect. I am Jewish, so Bubby and Zadie is a Yiddish or a Polish reference, Eastern European reference to grandmother and grandfather. By the way, Brian, how do you call in Hungarian, what is a grandmother or grandfather?
That's a good question. I just call them Papa and Nana.
Okay, Papa and Nana. Okay, so I wouldn't have been surprised if you'd said it was something like Baba or something, in my Bubby's house, there was a piano too, a little cheap upright piano. Now, there was a cheap upright piano in my Bubby, that's my mom's parents in Chicago. The reason there was a piano in their house was because they arrived in the United States homeless and penniless and stateless, Jewish refugees having barely survived the Holocaust, having spent 3 years in a Siberian labor camp, having lost everyone and everything they ever knew, having lost their home, having lost their parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters. They arrived in a boat that my mother still remembers as a little girl seeing the Statue of Liberty off of the railing of the boat, and having every single one of these refugees clamoring to the railing of the ship and weeping and crying out in joy that they had seen the Statue of Liberty for the first time. And they took a train to Chicago, sponsored by a distant relative who had moved to Chicago at the turn of the 20th century and had gone through the books of Jewish survivors of the Holocaust, of the concentration camps and so on, and sponsored, my uncle says, over 100 people, paid for their way and put them up in their living room and co-signed leases for apartments and taught them where to buy groceries and where to sign up their kids for school and helped them start, businesses. My grandfather didn't speak English, so he ran a laundromat with quarters. My mom said he just worked to a bone, and all he did was fold clothes and handle quarters. So there was a piano in their living room because when they arrived in the United States, they met another Jewish refugee family across the street on Drake Street in Chicago that had a little piano in their living room. And my bubby used to say that when she saw a piano in the living room, it was her first American home that she'd been in, and she figured, I guess an American family has a piano in the living room. So they went and bought an inexpensive, very inexpensive, simple, Acrosonic, I think might have been the brand. For some reason I'm picturing that name. Bought a cheap upright piano which sat in their house for the rest of their lives and now sits in my Aunt Harriet's house, and her kids, Harriet's kids, and probably their grandkids now bang on that little piano that I used to go to my bubby's house and play little recitals for. Whenever I had learned a piece, I'd play for my bubby on that piano. So fast forward all these years to maybe about 5 years now. I'm sitting in my parents' condo. They moved out of our family home, our childhood home. As soon as the kids moved out, they got the hell out of Skokie, Illinois, and moved a nice suburb, and moved up to Chicago. And mysteriously, I'm sure it was an oversight, didn't even get an extra bedroom in their condo for visitors. So we sleep on the couch when we go visit my parents, which is just fine with them. And the piano that I grew up playing is in that condo. They moved it with them. And so I took my boy, Jude, who is now 12. At the time, he was maybe 6. And I took Jude with me to Chicago to visit his grandparents. And I'm sitting at the piano, noodling around, which really does give my parents pleasure. They're not effusive, hugging people. They're not warm like that. But I know when they're feeling nostalgic. And when Danny sits at the piano, it makes them happy. Nobody ever plays the piano. It just sits there, in a little nook. It's a small upright. I mean, it's not much bigger than this, a digital piano. This beautiful digital piano, by the way. Anyway, so I'm sitting playing the piano, and behind me in the living room is my dad and my son. My dad is sitting in the Archie Bunker chair that in our entire childhood we were never allowed to sit in when he was home because it was perfectly positioned between the two hi-fi speakers, on which he would listen to mostly classical music, opera, symphonic music, and stand-up comedy. Bob Newhart, Jackie Mason, and he would laugh until he'd cry, and I could still picture him crying, laughing at Jackie Mason talking about owning a boat, and if you ever listen, funny stuff. So my dad still has that chair, sitting in that chair. My boy is on the couch that was in our home growing up. It's been reupholstered, but it's the same couch. Between them is the table that we grew up in our living room growing up. And on that table is a chess set that my dad taught his boys how to play chess on, the little cheap little wooden set. And my dad is teaching my son to play chess on the same set that he taught his sons to play chess, on the same couch and the same Archie Bunker chair and the same table, and I'm sitting at the same piano. Now, normally, I have a very serious ADD brain. I don't care if it's a diagnosis or not. It is a diagnosis in my case. I mean, it happens to be. I don't consider it a disease, but it's certainly a way to describe the way my brain works. My life is filled with loose ends, unfinished things and lost things. It just is a mess. It just is. Like I've made like 23 or 24 records, right? Sounds like a lot. No. I know how many projects I haven't finished. Way more than I've finished is the projects I have never finished. It's just simply true. So I'm sitting at this piano, and it is a moment that I would normally miss. I don't know if you can relate to that. The way I always think of it is, have you ever seen a picture of somebody, you were at a dinner or a party or even at an office, or at a family event, a wedding or something, or a christening or a bar mitzvah or something, and you look at that picture and first thing you think is, oh my God, I looked so young, or I looked so thin, or whatever it was, right? Oh, look how much hair I used to have. I'm definitely getting to that point, But you also probably think, oh yeah, I loved that aunt, right? Or oh my God, our son is so big. We thought he was big then, Or, also very likely, from a family event like that, she died a year later. I never saw her again. That was the last time I saw her, right? And all of a sudden, the picture is a thing. It's loaded with much more significance than probably anyone caught at the time, So in that moment sitting at that piano, I actually caught it. It was like if it was a movie scene, it would have been a sentimental, emotional movie scene. It would have been gauzy, you know what I mean? It would have been very soft and sweet. There would have been pretty music playing in the background, not me playing, pretty music playing in the background as the audience experienced this family, multi-generational moment. It would have been emotional. And I actually caught it enough. I'm not Chopin, I'm not Mozart, but enough for it to inspire a little melody. And that's what that piece of music was. That was a piece of music that I wrote, or started writing anyway, sitting there with my son and my dad behind me, talking about how a rook moves and how a pawn moves, this. And I ended up calling it a long way from home, because that's really how I was feeling. I was like, wow, a lot of years have passed. But I also was very clear, I'm going to want, if I can, to remember this scene. My parents are 83 and 81 or 82. My mom might be 82. And, I don't need to say they're not going to live forever. They're in pretty good health right now. But there's going to come a day when there'll be memories, and the condo will be gone, and the table will be in someone else's house or resold. All these things will have gone. And if I can hold on a little bit, that's, I've believed for a long time in, I have sort of glib, smart aleck answers to the question. Every so often I'm asked, or I hear people talking about whether there's such a thing as reincarnation. And I say, well, definitely. I'm definitely going to be reincarnated as, the cockroaches that eat my body, and the grubs and the bugs. I mean, of course, right? I mean, my body goes right into more bodies. I am the product of, I eat other bodies. I eat, even whether it's vegetarian, you get my point. And the same is true, I think, about immortality. I think absolutely we are immortal in the sense that we are remembered, if in no other way, which of course no one knows. Anyway, so there I was, and actually present and noticing a moment. So the thought that I had for today, which in the context of telling these stories, is that life can be, daily life, seemingly ordinary stuff, can run a lot deeper than we allow it to. I'm not talking about walking around in some phantasmic haze where, I am not that guy. You can obviously tell, probably, I'm sarcastic, and I'm an economics major, and both my parents are lawyers. It's not like I'm walking around, with a halo. But when I do take a minute to really see a moment or a person in front of me or an object in my life, it develops layers of significance that otherwise I miss. My mind misses most things, So today I thought I would simply make that observation and share a couple of examples from my own life, and see whether it stirs anything in your mind. Is there I'm free associating here, but is there an outfit in your closet that you wore to one of the most special days of your life? Is there a piece of jewelry or something on a shelf, a knickknack, something in your home that was given to you by somebody who's long gone that you truly loved? Because at some point the object stops being seen in your home, right? I mean, it just is. It's going to be, unless you notice it, which you normally don't. So today I just thought it would be a little bit about noticing. Like that day I noticed the moment I was having in my life with my boy and my dad, both still with me. I mean, my boy is going to be gone. You know, he's already trying to get the hell away from his parents. He's 12. You know, we'll see. I'm taking bets on who's going to kill him first, my wife or me. You know, because he's just, you know, because he's a sweet kid, but you can feel the teen arising. You know. So even a moment like that with a baby. So that's where I'm kind of thinking out loud about. It's what I'm exploring today. So that was a moment, and I mentioned objects, and I was talking to you today about my guitar. My guitar is an object like that. Okay, I bought this guitar in 1998. I'm not going to belabor it. We'll run brutally out of time. Let's just say it was a much better guitar than I could afford at the time. Probably still couldn't afford it now. And it's a much better guitar than I deserved as a guitarist. I used to joke on stage, how do you like my guitar? It's the envy of much better guitarists. I used to say it all the time. Well, look at this. Look at that wood. That's not like painted or drawn. That's the grain of this maple. Okay, absolutely beautiful guitar. It's made by the Taylor Guitar Company, a California company based in south of San Diego. This guitar, I bought it in 1998, and it has had a lot of miles on it. I mean, probably a couple million miles of travel, I can't really guess. I mean, the closest I can estimate is probably 5,000 performances over 25 years. I can't really, I don't really know. There's a lot of them, And performance means a million different things. But this guitar has been all over with me. It is on every album I've produced, not only my own, but produced other people's albums. It's on all of them. It was with me. So here's why this guitar is on my mind today. Is because in December I left it at the repair shop at Taylor Factory in San Diego. Okay, and I have a host at Taylor Guitar, a very, very nice, gracious, generous man named Jerry, who knows my music, who works at Taylor, handed me a card once and said, if you ever need anything at Taylor, I'm your guy. And he meant it, honest to God. So twice I have taken him up on that and brought my guitar in, and he meets me at the shop. And everybody, he's the chief luthier teacher at Taylor for 30 years. So everybody in the factory knows him, and he's like, this is Daniel. He makes beautiful music. Take good care of him. And I'm like, thank you. That's very nice. And they really, really do. They have repaired this. I mean, doesn't look kind of new? Yeah. Well, 1998. So it's 25 years old. And the reason it looks so good is because they know how to make them, and they know how to fix them, and they've taken good care of me. So when I came, I just picked it up from the shop again 4 days ago, and I found myself writing an email to Jerry, not just thanking him, but asking him to forward an email to the guy who worked on my guitar. Okay? It had a couple cracks. It was showing some age, and they fixed it up, man. He fixed it up, whoever that guy is. I found out he's Bob Taylor's nephew, by the way. Okay? Well, I mean, it's a family business. I mean, there's hundreds of people there, so that was cool. But I sent an email. I said, please forward this to the man who worked on my guitar. And as I wrote a paragraph, I think this is probably what spurred this exploration this morning about noticing, about the capacity you and I have on any given day and I'm not a woo-woo person, but I mean this sincerely, for the place you are to be a holy place. And I don't mean holy in a religious sense. I'm not religious at all, okay? But when I hear the words holy land, I don't mean it as a political comment. I always think, I've been to Yosemite. Yosemite is a holy land, Yellowstone, one of my favorite places in the world. John Muir, the naturalist, used to say that his cathedral was Yosemite Valley. And I get it. I've been to the Vatican, around it anyway, when I was in Europe that time. I didn't need to go to the Vatican to be in a holy place. I've been to Arches National Park in Utah. It's a holy place. So for me, the place I don't mean it as a woo-woo. I mean in like a deeper, personal, emotional sense. Your car is a holy place. If you just think about where it's taken you, if you just address that, even if it's a junker, even, you know what I mean? Like when I think about the $9,000 Toyota Tercel, my first car, it was the base model. It had manual windows and didn't come with a side view mirror on the right side. Times were different, apparently, when I bought that car, whatever. But that car moved me to Los Angeles. That car, when I broke up with my fiance in Chicago and realized I needed to make music and I needed to come west. When I had that realization, that epiphany in December of 1997, and in 1998 moved across the country, when I had the most painful moment, maybe even to this day, but one of the most painful moments of my life was telling my fiance at the time, I need to be single. I need to rebuild. I'm in the wrong direction. I can't get married now, and I need to be on my own. Right? Most painful day. Well, I got into that Toyota Tercel that night and drove around. So ask me, is it a piece of crap little? No, it wasn't. Actually, it was a brilliantly made car. But was it a cheap little, stupid little car? Yeah. But in my life, it was my only refuge that night when I had just blown up the most important relationship and the path I thought I was on. That night, I can still picture that car. I can picture what it feels like to sit inside it. So where's the holy place? The place that shelters me, that takes me to Los Angeles for my new life. You know what I mean? Like, that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about noticing. Like, when's the last time, I'm sorry, again, I'm free associating, but when's the last time you noticed your glasses, if you wear them? Think about what your glasses make possible. There are people in the world who can't afford them. It's a special thing. And for a long time, I don't know where they are now. I had my Bubby's glasses after she died. And I can picture them now. I don't know where they are, but I saved them because they were her face. You know what I mean? Like, you're wearing glasses right now. You think it's nothing. I mean, I think it's nothing. I'm not presuming you don't notice these things. But somebody thinks of you and pictures those glasses, like loves you in them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a real thing. So this guitar, I'm writing this email to the guy who worked on my guitar, and I'm like, my wife is like, oh no, she always says to me, oh no, you're not going to start crying again, are you? You know, because I'm the one who watches the Hallmark movies in the family, you know. And I'm the one who wants to save every drawing Jude's ever made. And she's like, Jesus, we have bins full. You know, we don't need more. She loves her son like he's, made of chocolate. But I'm always the one who wants to save everything. So as I'm writing this email to the guy who's fixing my guitar, I'm realizing, like, emotionally what it means to me that he took care of it. I said, let me tell you about this guitar you just took care of. You know? I said, this guitar I played for my boy when he was born in the hospital. This is the guitar I sat on a couch and proposed to my wife and played her a song on that guitar. This guitar I opened for Kenny Loggins with this guitar. This guitar is on every record I've ever made. This guitar I've written, you know what I mean? This guitar I sang Stardust for a woman in a hospital, and she cried and sang along with me and told me about her husband, that they had danced to Stardust her entire life on their anniversary. That was this guitar. So you didn't just fix a guitar. You fixed something that's special in my life. This is a piece of my musical life that's, and by the way, you and I both know possessions come and go. So, yeah, it could get stolen. Some of you may have heard about Paul McCartney's bass. You know about this story? Yeah, he played a bass when they were in Germany, whatever. The Beatles were just starting. He needed a bass, so he bought Hofner is the name of the brand. It was not a fancy thing, and it was a weird instrument. It's like the shape of a violin, but it had bass strings, and he played bass. That's what he played bass on. And then one day, and it was like 1972, I think, after the Beatles were done, this bass disappeared. Okay? Disappeared, was never seen again for 50 years. And a little team of Beatles fans just gathered up the mojo to put out word. Can we find Paul's bass? And honest to God, somebody found it in the attic of a pub where it's thought that it was just like last week it was found. It was, or like in the last month it was found. And it And it had apparently been stolen from a van, and the guy who stole it traded it at that pub for a beer, not realizing it was Paul McCartney's bass, of course. Traded it for a beer, and the pub owner put it in the attic and forgot about it. And when he read this article about we're looking for this bass, he opened the case and called them up and said, is there any chance this is actually Paul's bass? And sure enough, it was. And it's been handed back to Paul. Now, I promise you, you and I have possessions that are just that precious, right? A concert T-shirt, a term paper from school. You get what I'm saying? So it's about noticing. Noticing that life is actually more beautiful, more precious. You can use the word sacred if you want. More sacred than it seems on a daily basis. It's actually, that feeling is available. I'm just going to sing you one more song, and then, because we're going to run way long, otherwise I got to stop. Welcome to my world. As my uncle once said, why tell a story in 2 sentences when you can tell it in 5? So, you know what? I know what song to sing. Oh, you didn't think I had this planned, did you? No. If it was planned, it would be awful. I have learned that the hard way. If I tried to write out a script or something, it doesn't work. So let me sing this song. This is the third point, last thing I wanted to observe on the subject of noticing. Is I talked about an experience that's special, like sitting with my boy and my dad. Talk about an object that's special in your life or in mine, like my guitar is to me. And then there's also the people in your life that you may even openly love, but still don't always catch the presence that they have, the power they have, the talent they have, the love they've given, the thing, the little diamond at the core, It's easy to miss. It's especially easy to miss in people you don't know well. But I think it's absolutely possible to miss it even in the people right in front of you. Do you ever go to a party with somebody you were dating or somebody in your family and hear them talking to somebody else and think, man, they're awesome. Like they are so funny, or what a cool story, or that really is impressive. Like, you really are an ambassador to, Norway or whatever, and you forgot. You know what I mean? You stop noticing. You stop noticing the value, the specialness of the person you're with. I mean, yes. So this song was inspired by a conversation with somebody I thought I knew. I thought she was cool and talented and successful and generous and fun, great singer, just an all-around grand slam of a person. And then she started telling me in a conversation we had never had before, for like an hour, we had a private hour in which she told me that she had been adopted into an abusive family that was kind of as bad as it gets. And that she left when she was a young teen, never went back. And now I'm sitting listening to this story and I'm thinking, I had no idea. I thought you were awesome, but actually you're way better than awesome. This is spectacular that you have become the person you've become through that. I sometimes, it sounds like a random, again, free association, but I think about this is, again, go with me. I think about the joy. If I say the words Louis Armstrong to you, do you picture the smile and hear the warmth of the voice? If I say Ray Charles to you, okay? Ella Fitzgerald. Do you know what those people suffered through in America? While they were giving that much joy, limitless brilliance poured out of them, out of their hands, out of their voices. Duke Ellington. These artists were suffering through the worst indignities, threats to their safety. They had to stay in a hotel while their band stayed in another one. They were not allowed to drive through whole swaths of America without feeling like their lives were on the line. And then they got in front of a microphone and sang America the Beautiful, or A Tisket a Tasket, and made billions smile. That's heroic to me. It's not just, I can't imagine how bitter I would have been. I would have had nothing of that strength. Quincy Jones, I would have had nothing of that strength. So you think you're listening to a singer when you listen to Ray Charles sing. No. You're listening to a genius singer, but also somebody made of stuff that's almost impossible to comprehend. And here's the kicker, here's the fact. The fact is that you and I are sitting right now today with people who, if they told us their story, we would have that kind of admiration for them. No matter how they ended up, you may not like them. You may not have any regard for the profession they wound up in or the relationships they chose, or you may just not dig them at all. But if you found out where they came from, you would realize this is an achiever, a survivor. This is somebody with strength they don't share with people. Most days are, how's it going? Great. How you doing? Fantastic. Beautiful day. Oh, isn't this wonderful? Yes. But if you'd have to really notice a person, and who has, I'm not advocating even, who has time to be everybody's, earpiece. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not saying we're letting ourselves down or letting anyone else down. It's just a fact of life. Very few people do we get to know like that. But anybody you do get to know well, if you think about a person, this my suggestion. It's not, I'm not a boss of anybody, but I'm not even boss of myself really most of the time. But my suggestion is, today, notice somebody already in your life, and give it a thought. Give it a thought. What did this person come through? My wife was one of 5 children raised by a single dad. Mom was gone. Single dad on disability his entire life. Had heart attacks, had polycythemia, he struggled. He bought a chicken and a pound of beans and fed 5 kids on Social Security for a week with that pot of beans and chicken. When I think of what made my wife, I already love her and admire her, but then it's not a plug to talk about her jewelry, because she was never given the option of being an artist. Nobody. She had to work to survive. So when I look at the art that she makes, the woman she is, the mother she is, not having had a mother, it's like, it's worthy of a next level of admiration. I already love her and like her, but then when I notice, and I remember what the story is, which I'm privileged to know, my admiration, I just have just that much more respect for somebody. So this is a song written about that friend, or inspired by that friend who told me her story. And I'm sorry I'm gone so long. Here we go. I've never understood how you turned out so good with all that you've had to endure. No one expected you to make the best of you. The deck stacked against you for sure. The more that I learn, the more I admire how you never got burned being forged in the fire. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine. You never talk about when you first figured out that you'd have to go it alone. Breaks my heart to picture you, a child hiding out of view, so young to fight on your own. But still here you stand, and still here you are, igniting the world with your luminous heart. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, made of muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine, and that would explain how you never admit any pain. So let me just say, that child has a lot to be proud of, and no longer needs to keep the world at bay. If you were mortal, you'd have quit by now. You've been counted out so many times. You're human like me. You can bruise, you can bleed, but you must have steel in your spine. Yeah, a mortal would have quit by now, but your light was determined to shine. There's so much more than they see. A superhero to me. You must have steel in your spine. You must have steel in your spine. Oh, oh, oh.
Okay. Wow. Right? Let's give Daniel some more love. Woo! Wow. Just wow. Wow. All right, so we're going to tie a little bow around all of that by closing prayer. So I invite you to now join me in turning your attention inward. And, oh, yes, bringing all of that back into our hearts, back into this place within, all the words, all the music, and the passion, and the delivery, and the human, and this human's background and history, and everything that Daniel Nahmod is and has brought to us today. Let's bring all of that into this beautiful, expansive space within, where I know and remember that spirit is all that there is. Yes, there is only one power. And it is here right now. It is expressing itself in me, and through me, in, as, and through each individual here. And we experience together a grand rising. And I know that the power and the love and the beauty of this message carries us through the rest of this week, through the rest of this day, even the rest of the month, that the echo and the reverberation of that noticing is a whole new level of love that we get to experience. There is love and adoration of the divine and of each other, and then there is that noticing and acknowledging and remembering and recognizing where we each came from. I'm so grateful for this message. I'm so grateful for this amazing day, and I know that we are each truly blessed and guided, and that Spirit is loving us exactly as we are, and we love each other. With great gratitude, I release this prayer. knowing it is so, and so it is.